Hey, what's going on, guys? TalkNorwichCity here, back for another video. Hope you guys are all doing fantastically well. Second video of the day. I'm on fire. Hull preview this time. It's Hull away, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Yet again, much like Bolton, much like Nottingham Forest, playing a team below us in the league, and a game we should really be winning. Hull currently down in 20th place in the league, and they've actually scored a fair few goals this season, but the majority of them came under the previous manager and under Nigel Atkins. Only two teams have had less goals in the games than Hull. Them two teams are Norwich City and Ipswich Town. So that kind of sums things up. They're not scoring as many goals as they used to, and Hull are actually in a really poor position. I thought they'd be doing a lot better than they are this season. Of course, they were only relegated from the Premier League last year, and they find themselves in not only a poor situation on the pitch, but off the pitch, their ownership is not good, to put it straight. So that's that. Let's have a bit of a more look into Hull. They're currently 3 points off the relegation zone, so if they lose this weekend, then they really could be in a sorry state of affairs. On the other hand, they've got a goal scorer in Jarrod Bowen, who scored 13 goals this season. However, 12 of them goals have come in games where they haven't then gone on to get the win. So his goals have been almost wasted this season, you could say. Abel Hernandez could be back. He's been out since August. He returned in the week in their 2-1 defeat to Millwall, and he did actually score. He's a fantastic player, Abel Hernandez. Will he be the same player that we saw before he got injured? I'm not so sure, but his return can only really be positive. So in terms of Norwich, it's 5 league draws in a row, which I can't really remember the last time that happened. If you go on the BBC Sport table, it looks very consistent. If nothing else, 5 draws in a row, 2 games back to back where we haven't scored a goal, and I think we've scored 33 goals in 34 games this season, which is very poor. It's very poor, and that's been our downfall this season, hasn't it? Goal scoring. We haven't conceded many goals either, but we just haven't scored. If we would have had the goal scoring prowess we had under Alex Neil and the defensive capabilities that we've had under Daniel Farke, then we'd probably be on about 150 points at this point in the season. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, and we find ourselves 14th in the division, and it hasn't been pretty at times. Zimmerman is out. He's got some kind of illness, and apparently James Maddison is now showing symptoms that Zimmerman had. So Maddison could be out as well, but Maddison will travel, and apparently he's going to be staying in his own room so he doesn't give it to anyone else, and hopefully he stays fit. Now I'm going to show you this little bit of paper that I keep looking at. So that's close up, isn't it? To show you what I'm thinking going into this game in terms of the team. Let me focus that up. So I'm going with Gunn in goal, of course. Hanley and Closer. Hanley, that man, what a boy. Lewis at left back, Reed at right back, Leitner in midfield next to Vrancic. I'm going with Vrancic solely because I just don't think Alex Tete's been that great in the last couple of weeks, and he said to Michael Bailey that he doubts he's going to be here next season. I very much agree with that. I think he's probably still on quite a whack in terms of wages, and yeah, he has been decent this season, I will admit, and his record in terms of him playing games and then Norwich City going on to win them games is fairly decent. So look, I'm not going to slag Alex Tete off, but I think 2 games in a week is probably a struggle for him. He'll probably be the first to admit that, and Mario Vrancic has improved in the last couple of months. So that's that. Back to my lovely bit of A4 card, and let's focus that up again. This man out here, once it focuses, Hernandez, Onel Hernandez, what a game he had against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, our finishing didn't help his crossing, but yeah, he looks really, really good. Maddison, hopefully if he's fit, of course, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I'm gonna stick with Murphy out on the left wing, but he really does need to up his game. He's got 1 assist this season. Christoph Zimmerman has more assists than him, and he hasn't really returned too many goals either. There's definitely a player in Josh Murphy, I know that, and there's a certain arrogance about him as well, which I think all good footballers need. But if he wants to be a Premier League footballer, then he's going to have to up his game, and we're going to have to see more end product from him in very average Championship games. So that's that. If not, you've got Marley Watkins, who could be thrown in there. He done the pre-match press conference today, and he was very, very honest. He was saying that his season hasn't been as he expected it to go this season. He played very well for Barnsley last year, and he was hoping to recreate some of that magic at Norwich, but it hasn't really happened, whether that be through injury or suspension or not being picked by Daniel Farke. It hasn't gone his way. I'm not overly convinced with Marley Watkins. I'm certainly convinced with his work ethic, but I'm not actually sure. I don't really think he's a winger. I don't think he's a striker. I think he could probably play in a front two, but we don't play that system. So I need to see more from Watkins, and to be fair, this is probably the best chance to start to experiment a little bit, because the playoffs are off now. We're not going to get relegated. Maybe let's try and find a system, and let's try and find the players that are going to go into that system ahead of next season. And of course, the striker situation is going to be the interesting one. Nelson was dropped for disciplinary reasons. Farke wasn't satisfied with what he was seeing in training in terms of actual turning up and working hard. So Dennis Sabreni started. It's too early to tell on whether Dennis Sabreni is going to be a good footballer for Norwich City, but I didn't really see too much to get excited about on Tuesday night. So I think it would probably be right to bring Nelson back in. He will travel with the squad. And look, we all know Nelson Oliveira is a quality striker on his day, but when you've scored 1 goal in 13 games and that goal was from a John Ruddy mistake, then you have to question things slightly. I don't overly think the system works to Nelson's favour, and I also don't think Nelson's fitted in the system as well as he probably could have done. He's so often out on the wing, and if you've watched the podcast and the fan cams, you will know that I get really frustrated with that, and that was the one positive from Tuesday night, that Dennis Sabreni played as a number 9 and he was in the box when crosses were being delivered. So I want to see more from that from Nelson. Let me know your thoughts. Are you going to Hull? Unfortunately not, although Jen will be going. Jenny Hull goes to Hull, which will be good. Let me know your thoughts, score predictions, team, all of that good stuff. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. That's about, I think, as good as it gets, and that's optimistic because I've just predicted we will score a goal. Yeah, see you later. Bye bye.